That was weird. It came back. It never comes back. That was the weirdest thing. Well, hello, Imaginers. Thank you for tuning in live. First, please go into the live chat. Please let us know that you could hear me. Please let us know if you can hear Tracey and Dee as well. If you can say something, guys, girls.
Good morning.
So my name is Scott Wankivowitz. I am the content and community manager here at Imagen. If we haven't met before, it's nice to meet you now. If you are watching on Facebook, some important task you have to do now before it's too late is please know that we are going live. We are broadcasting from Restream. It's powering this. So before you leave a comment, please grant Restream permission to see your name. Just go to chat.restream.io/FB. I will actually pull up that link right here up on the screen in 1 second. So here is that link. Go there. You have to do it once, and we will see your name when you comment. If you don't do this, we will see Facebook user, and we can't address you by your name, which is rude. So we want to be able to see your name so we can talk to you. So we also want to know where you're tuning in from. This is a lot of fun. I am in New Jersey in the United States. Tracey and Dee are in Japan. So they're sipping coffee and I'm having my nighttime tea and water. So so please let us know where you're tuning in from. Please let us know that you can hear us. That is very important. Yeah, so we got aloha from Penny.
Hi, we miss you.
Becky says that she can hear us. Gus says audio's fine. That is fantastic.
Hi, guys.
Oh man, see, the fun's already started. Yeah, a couple other things, I guess, before we get in. If you are brand new to Imagen, welcome. We're so glad you're here with us. If you came from Tracey and Dee's recommendation, even better. If you have any questions or demo requests for me, if you have any questions for Tracey and Dee during the live stream, please comment and ask. I've got a bunch of questions for them. So the more the better. Please get them in. All you got to do is comment with it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, I've got the option to star off comments. I'm going to do that. And then when we get to your questions, I will go through the starred questions and we'll go through that. Now, also, if this is being recorded, so if you are watching the replay, if a friend shared this with you, I'm so happy you're watching. It's a bummer you can't comment live. Of course, sorry you can't ask questions to us live. You'll know you're watching the replay because it'll say I was live instead of I am live. But if you are watching the replay, just comment with the word replay. And that's it. That's all the stuff I have to kick things off. Hello, Christine.
Hi.
And Penny says that she misses you too. This is fantastic. Okay, so I've got a couple bits of news to share before we dive into questions for you, Tracey and Dee. Lots of very, very, very exciting things. So the first one, I actually have to share this screenshot right here. Now, this is a screenshot. This is actually fully functional, but I did a screenshot just because I'm currently logged into my test account, which won't show this. But if you notice at the bottom left where it says your photo is selected, it now also says estimated cost of those projects, even before uploading. Now, this is rolling out. Not everybody will see this yet. We're rolling it out slowly to everybody. But you will now see, before you even upload your projects, an estimated cost of what those will be. And that's a fun new thing that is literally rolling out. I think as of yesterday, it started rolling out. So I'm glad that I'm able to share that news with everybody. I've got some more news. Do you want to hear some more news?
Yay! Yes, and wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. Okay, so some more news. We are moving to a one-time password login system. This is something that a lot of countries have been getting more strict about having more difficult password systems in place. So we are moving to a new system. And when you get this new app update rolled out to you with the estimated cost, you will also have this new one-time password system where you will actually put in your email address like you would normally to log in, but instead of putting in the password, it'll send you a temporary password that expires after 15 minutes. So you won't ever have to do that again unless you log out or install it on a new machine. But that's great as well. That is rolling out at the same time as the other. There's more.
Oh, wow.
My favorite one, my absolute favorite one, I can't believe I get to share this. I'm very excited about this, is that we are now editing photos, and you might have noticed this actually, at a much faster rate. So if you recall, for the past 2 years since we've launched, it has been 1,000 photos in 20 minutes. Well, we've cut that down to 0.33 seconds, a photo, which is 150 photos a minute or 1,500 photos in 10 minutes. So,
wow.
So that is actually in place already. So everybody, if you've noticed, if you're watching this and you have noticed that your edits are coming back faster, it's because they actually are. So that's some really, really good news, and I love to be able to share that with you. Now, I know that a lot of people have been asking about local adjustments and culling. So here are 2 updates on those. The first, local adjustments, currently going through internal testing. It's underway, and we plan to have it available by the end of 2022. It's working beautifully, but we want to make sure it is perfect before it is rolled out, of course. And what was the last one? Oh yeah, culling.
Help us.
So culling is around the corner. Beta testing is actually going on, and it's going very well so far. We will be slowly releasing the beta to our guild members and then to the others who signed up as well over the coming weeks. But yeah, it's almost here. So when I tell you it's around the corner, I mean it's around the corner. I still can't give you a date because you never know if something gets a little delayed, but it's coming. It's coming. All right. That's all my news for today. So with that, Tracey and Dee, I am so happy that you're here celebrating
Yay.
with us, with me, even though it's with us. And I did something when we launched the Love and Light profile with Sarah Edmonds, and I'm going to do it with you guys as well. And that is, and I can't hear it on my end, but I'm going to play this anyway.
Yay! Oh, we love it.
So, I know that your profile launched a little while ago. We didn't have a chance to formally celebrate like we are right now, but now we get to celebrate that the Modern Classic is available. And yet, what is Gus asking? What is the permission link? What is Gus? I don't know what you're asking. If you can please clarify, I'll happy to answer that. If I don't know what you're asking. Sorry. So yeah, I know you're probably relieved that your profile's out there. How's it been so far?
Leave it to Crazy. Amazing for all the reasons we'll sort of go over.
Even more than just our profile, we're just thrilled to have, prior to releasing our profile, just making our own profile, for when we were approach to try Imagen, I was just like, I don't have time, things are happening, we've got so much work coming in, and everyone was saying, if you take the time to stop and just take a look at this. So we took a look, we made our own profile. How long did it take? Was it the 5 days or something once I uploaded my photos to make my own?
So it's up to 72 hours or less.
And it's changed our life. So I'm just so thrilled that we're able to share it with everybody else, because without being overly dramatic,
and we often are, but
without being overly dramatic, I was in tears over how much this helped us out in a really, really difficult spot, a difficult time. So,
and to be honest, we're old, and we've tried everything, and in our business, we truly only want to use things that actually we use every day. So having this conversation with you today is such a joy, because this is part of our workflow now. It is part of our life. So it's really, it's just speaking from the heart. But it took us a while to get there because we have had this sort of process before, looking at outsourcing, all of this. This is totally different. This is not that. This is our profile. So once that kind of switch clicked in our heads, and we're so grateful to Sam at Imagen for sort of saying, hey guys, move things along and talk to these people. It really was a game changer once we figured that out. And I'm just so grateful you've given us time in a lot of ways to put into other parts of our business, which we can talk about. And you've also made my life so much easier because she's happy. You have to understand this.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to be getting to a lot of that fun stuff, to all the nitty gritty that everybody wants to know, and we'll probably feel your pain and understand the relief that you've gotten over the past many months of using Imagen. So let's start with first. It's really interesting for those who don't really know who you are yet. Your background of obviously where you're from because of your accent, but then where you live. So can you please share a background about yourselves, where you are originally from, and where do you currently live?
Okay, good. We'll give you just the coffee version. Come back for the cocktail version another time. But go ahead, Trace.
Oh no. Oh well, we're Australian, but we have been living in Tokyo, Japan, for the past 25 years, maybe now. So yeah, it was never obviously meant to be this long, but
it's going to be one country, 1 year. Ta-da! But my background was in journalism. Trace was in fine art and landscape photography for many years. We ended up in Japan somehow, actually through WPPI, I think it was. They came to Japan maybe in the early 2000s, I think, just for a small mini conference. And that really changed our lives. She was never going to do weddings, not interested. It was all about landscapes,
I was having a meltdown.
light.
Well, the reason I was thinking of changing was the world went digital about 3 years after we arrived in Japan.
Right.
So we got to Japan about 1997, and by 2003, that was the end of, in our industry, the end of analog for, and it was quite distressing because I was just like, I didn't know how to keep moving. It was like you have to adapt or fade out. And and so Dee had suggested, hey, WPPI is coming to Japan, come and have a look. And I had a complete meltdown, and I was like, tantrums everywhere. I'm never going to do weddings. Never. I had a different idea in my head of what weddings were about. And then we got there, and
it was story and light and photojournalism and fashion, commercial photography, every kind of photography in these really beautiful, like singular historical moments in people's lives. So we got hooked. And then we got hooked on Japan because there's the rest of the world and then there's Japan. I'm not going to lie. Whatever you think you know, you don't know. And of course our weddings here are shrines and temples and kimono and all of those amazing things. So very corporate world here. It's very hard to enter the industry, but we're big and blonde and we never give up, and we kind of realized you only need 1 or 2 contacts to really sort of make those connections. Japan is all about connections. So we worked really hard at that. And then our weddings here actually sort of put us on a world stage through WPPI, and that's how things rolled from there. And we sort of moved more into the destination market, which was great business model, except for a pandemic. So anybody thinking about moving into that market, just have a backup plan. But we've always sort of been about plan Bs, Cs and Ds.
Yes.
We went through the earthquake here where our business changed dramatically
that
overnight.
was back in 2011.
And so we've sort of had these pivotal moments throughout our career, but we're firmly loving weddings. So happy to let the world know Japan's borders finally reopened this week after 2.5 long, excruciating years.
Come and see us.
Please come and see us. We've been locked up. So we're super excited. And during that time, I guess the one thing is we had time. So we've had this time to actually be able to make connections with your amazing team and perhaps implement new workflows that maybe we would never have been able to because of the time. So we're so grateful for you for giving our time back having given us that time, we're putting it into our business 100% because we've got two main parts of our business, the photography side and also the planning side. We do the full production of mainly elopements, micro weddings and larger scale weddings. So Imagen has given us time to be able to focus on that as well. And we've only got like 300 weddings to reschedule. So if anyone wants a job, come on over. So that's the short version of a long story.
My gosh, the short version.
Yeah. The second shooter and assistant positions are readily available right now.
Available. What if anyone's free? Spring 2023.
I was gonna bring up. I was gonna ask you how you wound up in Japan, but it's interesting that first that like WPPI brought you there, and basically you fell in love and you stayed, and it's really interesting.
It was actually a great base for us. Like, we love Australia. It will always be our home, but we always felt we're kind of in the same time zone here. It's 8 hours on a plane.
Japan opened up the world to us, though, because there's a large international community here that's very tight knit, but they only ever stay kind of say 3 to 7 years.
Right.
But we become a part of their world, and then they move on. And the expat world is, they move on to wherever their next corporate job is.
Right.
It's very global.
So how long did it take you to start understanding the language, and then how long did it take you to feel comfortable with the language change?
Speak Japanese.
Dee speaks Japanese pretty well. I'm horrific. I think I am awful.
She's
terrible.
Terrible.
I just rely on our team, and I have enough knowledge to get by. Dee always says I have to get into trouble, but not out of trouble.
Yeah.
But I would say that to do business in Japan, you would have to be absolutely 100% perfect in your Japanese language ability. Otherwise, I wouldn't attempt it. So for us, it's much better to take one of our team with us if we're doing any negotiations or something.
Basically, all our team's bilingual. It's just us that aren't. Especially for weddings, actually, weddings particularly have a very, very polite, an extra level of politeness in Japanese language. So that's even more complicated for us. So no,
it's better to pretend that I have no Japanese at all, because then I can break the rules a little bit. If we were to go in there and just be our normal selves in Japanese, it would be no. No.
But we do have a lot of opportunities we may not have got elsewhere. It's also been a lot harder to break through. But I think if you just never ever give up, there's always a way. And that's just,
Yeah.
I think everything really.
So as you know, a lot of the Imagen team is based in Israel. So for the past few months, I went to Hebrew school growing up, and I learned Hebrew, but never really used it on my day-to-day, so I basically lost it all. So over the past few months, I've been using Duolingo to relearn Hebrew, and now I'm at the point where I can recognize letters, but I now need to start working with the team to like have very, very, very slow conversations in Hebrew, so I can start, because I feel like not that I need to learn Hebrew, but I'm surrounded by, a lot of people who speak it fluently, natively, so it's, it'd be nice. So that's what I'm trying to do it for myself.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Japan just takes it to a different level. They don't have one alphabet. They have like 3 or 4. So we're like, I have no regrets in my life, like absolutely none. Except if I knew I was going to be here this long, I would have actually studied in my first year instead of doing, what everyone does.
Again, maybe with some of the time that Imagen frees up, we can maybe put it into
start Japanese class.
So let's keep going. Are there any? You guys have any kids?
No kids, just us in the world.
Kids.
And a lot of imaginary pets and dogs that we wish we could have.
Imaginary pets.
Not imaginary. They're adopted.
We do. Like, we have our own imaginary pets, but we've also got adopted, like, niece dogs and nephew dogs.
Okay.
So
all right.
we, before the pandemic, we just traveled so much. So it wasn't fair, but no. Yes, no.
Yeah, I don't blame you. That'd be very hard with the volume of travel you do to have to board a pet or find a temporary, like,
Like dog hotels in Tokyo are more expensive than our apartments. So
oh, wow. Yeah. I don't blame you. I don't blame you then. So okay, so let's roll back. Even before moving, getting to Japan, staying there, how did we get into photography to begin with? What got you both into it?
I think we've got
years ago.
It's like Trace was always with a camera. I think
We met at university way back when, and like Dee mentioned, she was studying journalism and I was doing fine
just
arts.
studying. I didn't do much.
And then we were doing university newspaper, kind of like Dee's doing the writing and I was doing the photography. And then that just translated into, after we graduated, we were doing a lot of freelance stuff for magazines, airline magazines, and it was good. It was good, constant work. But of course, like I mentioned, so I'm not really sure how we actually got into photography as such. It was just something that
I remember my grandma give me one of those first little brownie, the little Kodak brownie cameras that you would have to look through. We were just talking about the other day. So I think we've always had imaging and we've always had photography in our lives. So I think that was just a natural evolution. And
there we go.
Oh my God, one. I'm like, where is it? So we've always had it in our lives, and Trace was always on film, which is an interesting story. And when back in the day when you were traveling through Mongolia and Tibet with all those roll films, it's kind of insane.
And fascinating story. We just found out.
This is a good one. Here we go.
Recently, my dad has just retired and he's doing the family ancestry, and he writes to me and he says, "You're never going to believe it. Basically, my great-great-great-grandfather and my great-great-grandfather were both
grandfather.
No, both.
Oh,
his son.
Sorry, you're right. Sorry. I'm just going to drink coffee.
Anyway, the family business. So in the 1850s, 1860s, over in the UK, my ancestors were all photographers. They ran a giant.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is absolutely amazing. So if we really want to get into the story, how we got into photography, well, it was a family business.
started in 1850.
That's really interesting. That was on your side. My family side were always in newspapers and media, so it was kind of perhaps it was an unknown trajectory to get here where we are now. So unexpected journey. Never thought we'd be doing weddings at all in a place like Japan. My pivotal moment, I think, was I can't even remember. Probably early 2000s. We were in the US. Trace was doing a commission piece, I think, for some magazine, and we were sent to Antelope Canyon, the beautiful slot canyons. Like, it's such a well-known place now, but
it was back in about 2001.
Yeah, back in those days, it really wasn't where it is now. And I remember you had to get right there at lunchtime because that's when the spotlights come down. And she was just having the best time, like running through the canyons, like chasing light. Like, I have this memory.
And all I could hear was Dee carrying my bags and tripping over.
I was falling down. I had tripods, I had gear everywhere. And I'm like, okay, no, I want to do what she's doing. So you need to teach me. And then I'm going to get someone to do what I do. So that was kind of my evolution into picking up the camera as well.
But also more than that, there came a time when a lot of the magazines and places that we were doing pieces for didn't want to, once digital happened, they weren't hiring photographers. They were giving their writers digital cameras and saying, you can write and shoot.
And you can do it all. So we somewhat preempted that. And then our approach really sort of moving into the weddings and people and history and legacy stories was that we do love to shoot together. We feel that has a more cinematic look. It's sort of the way we've always loved to shoot, just those dovetailing angles. So that sort of became a signature of how we approach
just because we love the world, like the world, travel, diversity, culture, different stories, different, like, it's fascinated us. And that's been the joy of living here, has been that nothing ever gets old. Like, not only do we have the Japanese weddings, which are ethereal and beautiful, but we have all these different cultures coming through. So, and then those different cultures have led us to the destination weddings. And there was one summer, just before the pandemic, where we were in 8 different countries in 8 weeks for a different destination wedding in each different country. And so going from like an Indian wedding to a big Hollywood party, then back to Japan for this, and then a Barbados beach elopement, and then it was just kind of like,
it was such a joy. It's never lost on us. Like, it's not easy. It sounds nice, but it's a lot of work and a lot of hard travel. But
the story, the locations, the just being able to be out in the world and experience all of this is something that we live for. I think obviously the pandemic hit everybody really hard, but it hit me really hard, because just losing, for me, that was my sense of who I was.
Yes, that's who we were.
And not having kids, investing everything into my business, and so losing that part of who we were was quite distressing. And being locked away from all of our friends and family, it took its toll.
that definitely explains why the two of you are celebrating opening day so heavily.
Oh my gosh. And
no, I was going to say, just to explain opening day, because we do have the 2 sides to the business. We have the planning side and the photography side. We do have 2020 couples, 2021 couples, and 2022 couples who have all had to reschedule. And bless them, I just can't thank them enough. None of them cancelled, or very few of them
we had
cancelled.
a couple of cancellations, but they all stuck with us.
They all want to reschedule. They had this dream of getting married in Japan. These were all inbound people doing a destination wedding in Japan. So, like Dee said, there's close to 300 that need to be rescheduled, and we have been pushing back.
We've been losing our minds. Hi, Sam. We've been losing our minds, especially sort of this past summer. We were able to get back to Australia and the US, and life is moving on, and what pandemic, but like I said, there's the rest of the world, and then there's Japan. So we just knew it was going to take time. And honestly, sort of the narrative here over summer was it was more than likely going to be probably next spring, which is when I just lost my mind. And then if the good old Japanese yen didn't tank, it was a great impetus for the government to get us open. So come on over. The yen has never been
the yen's at its weakest it's been in 30 years.
Come on in.
So yeah.
And while you're there, take on one of their weddings.
Take on one of the weddings. But this is the thing. We were saying that where we can't really take on a lot of new bookings until these wonderful couples that we all have their weddings are cleared, and it's not fair to them either for us to take on anymore, because we do have to keep dates open while they try and figure out their own schedule.
And we are a more bespoke business. Like, we love this. We love to get to know our couples and be invested in their story and their people. So we do have like a few domestic contracts and things here with venues that we're still committed to, which is lovely. That's sort of kept us going too. But now that inbound and that the world can come to Japan, we are ready. Like, I think we've had people sort of holding off for October, November, and sort of our first big elopements and weddings start in about 2 weeks. So they're ready to go. They're just like, get me on a plane, I'm there. So,
but we're doing now back to back weddings. We want these 3 years of weddings cleared within a year to 18 months.
And mainly because we want our couples to move on with life. So
that don't want to wait any longer.
So that brings us back to Imagen and how grateful we can. Did you see what I did there? And
yeah. So while I wish that we could help even more to help you get these weddings photographed and whatnot, at least we can help get them culled and edited.
Absolutely. in our style.
Yeah.
And, it's been such a joy that our couples have, found us on the planning side, but actually through the photography. That's how most of them have found us. So no, like we're ready. It couldn't have happened at a better time. It took us a little while to come around to it because we had tried
Well,
other options before.
but when we talk about this, though, the outsourcing that we have tried in the past, they have all been absolutely wonderful,
Right.
and
We should say that for sure. Dear friends, and
they're fantastic, and but we would mainly use the outsourcing for overflow. When we would get in a busy time over cherry blossom season or fall, and we just couldn't handle it in-house, we would then outsource. But the only problem I ever had with the outsourcing was that it never came back looking exactly like us. And I could never get frustrated because it's hard to ask somebody else to get into your head and know exactly what you're thinking. So it was kind of like, there's a word in Japanese, they say shogunai. Yeah. Shogunai is used for everything, and it just means it kind of can't be helped. So it was a shogunai. It was the best that it probably got to a good 70, 75%.
And it ended up being frustrating because there would still be tweaks to make. You'd end up sort of doing it yourself. And then our wonderful friend Sam said, hey, why don't you take a look at this? And we still took a bit of time to come around.
Well, I apologise to Sam. I know Sam's up there saying hi. Also, somebody said, can Tracey Dee share their portfolio site? We are
just 37frames.com.
Yep. I had it up on the screen before as well to throw it back up again.
Photography.com. Yeah. So, so I guess I knew that this tsunami, this tidal wave, as soon as Japan opened, I knew this was going to hit us, all the rebookings. Yeah. And we were getting a little bit stressed about how we were going to handle 5 weddings a week or or whatever we're going to have to do to get through this next 12 months. And so anyway, I took a look at what Sam suggested, and I spent the time because I think that's the thing. I kept saying to myself, I have no time. Right. We've got so much that we're trying to prepare for, and but I spent the time to make my own profile because I tried some of the other talent profiles and they came back beautifully. Oh my God. And I was so excited. I thought, okay, this totally change our style. Let's totally change it. Again, I needed ours, and let's face it, we've got 20 years worth of weddings. So I uploaded as many catalogs. I think we uploaded 30,000 or 35,000 images from catalogs, and it made this profile. And what's interesting about our profile is that because we have, especially in our busy time, say about 14 photographers working for us, we had so many different cameras. Yeah, we have.
I was going to ask about that actually. Yeah, so I'm glad you're going into this because this is going to be one of the questions I was going to ask you, because this comes up a lot when we release a new talent profile. Is what cameras was it made from? So
every camera you can imagine.
Yeah, it was, and it used to drive me nuts.
Yeah, she would go berserk. So I should also preface, Trace handles more of the production side. Yeah. I usually deal with the client side. So this is totally her world.
So the Dee and I are all on Nikon. Oh, sorry. Nikon. We say Nikon. Nikon here.
You can say it however you want to say it. I'm not gonna.
Here in Japan, you're called Imagen. So if we're talking about Imagen and Nikon, you'll know what we're talking about. But so we're all on Nikon, and so we have a range of cameras that we could do the profile right through, and then a lot of our team are all on Canon, and then we have a couple of second photographers, and one of them's Leica, and then we've got some Sony. So
a couple of Fujis.
A couple of Fujis. So yes. So I would say that probably about 60 to 70% of the profile was made on Nikon, and then 60% Nikon, 30% Canon, and the rest is just a dot of other cameras. So it was,
and I think further to that too, because we're so global and we don't shoot just in the same venue. We're in different lighting conditions. It was such a varied profile, and just further to that point, just talking about the actual AI, like we just love anything technology related. So like the whole premise about using anything AI was just so interesting that once we've got it in our head, it wasn't a preset, it was a profile. It was learning our work and continue to learn our work. And like Trace said, we can be on a beach and then the next day in a ballroom, and the profile can keep adjusting to that. Like for us, that's a game changer. So on the back end now, my life, so much easier.
Right. Yeah. So I want to make sure that everybody who's watching this understands the magnitude of what you've just shared. So your profile, which is called the Modern Classic, is made up of well over 30,000 photos that you've edited, and all with the same editing style, right? They all, and I'm gonna, my next question to you once I get past this is gonna be, can you please share what your editing style is? But not only is it made up of over 30,000 photos of the same editing style, but it has this massive diversity of cameras, lenses, and locations and lighting, just light, I guess, in general, which actually means that this AI profile is extremely accurate and diverse. So basically anything you throw at it will be edited in your style, no matter what camera somebody is using, which Leica is not a very popular camera due to its price, of course.
Right.
But that even means that if a photographer who wants to use Imagen and wants to use your profile comes with a Leica camera, they are golden. They've got a profile that's going to work beautifully. So with that, the magnitude of that is just incredible. It's so high.
And just adding on top of that, Scott, because when you, like, we all are perfectionists, we like that, but trying to match the cameras, matching, a primary shooter in Nikon to a second shooter in Canon. When I was going through and matching the color profiles, like, it would take up so much of my time.
I would have to leave the studio. It got dramatic.
Because it got to the point where I needed them to match absolutely perfectly, because I didn't want any sort of, color imbalance in albums. Everything had to look like it was shot completely and consistently. So the 30,000 images that we uploaded had all been, made so that the Nikon and the Canon had been, color matched to our standards as closely as possible anyway. So that's why we were so excited when this came through, and the images are coming back, and I'm going, oh my God, I'm going to cry, because they're all saved out days. Yeah.
A lot of times the reactions that we see from people face to face is like, wait, this actually works?
Yeah. I did want to say that, but I'm like, yeah.
So Gus just asked a great question. Can you please explain how to use this?
I love
Gus. Yeah, I let's get through the questions, like for Tracey and Dee, and if we have time to demo it tonight or this morning, I will definitely demo it for you. If we don't have time, I will be doing a live stream next Wednesday, which I'd be happy to demo it then for sure. But we'll see if we can get to it tonight for sure. We've got another like 30 minutes or so, so let's see if we can get to it. Can you talk a little about what your style looks like to those who are not already familiar with your photography?
Our style is it has a slight Kodak portrait film look to it. I had always kind of based it off that, mainly because portrait was a daylight balanced film that worked really good with skin tones, and because we have such a diverse range of skin tones through our work, so having that film background, we wanted to try. So over many, many, many years.
Yeah. It is a work in progress still.
Yeah.
Right?
It's been tweaked. It's a slightly more matte look, which lends itself to a lovely print. We like the way it prints in albums. I love high contrast looks too, but I feel like just for us, that printing style with a slightly less contrast has worked well. It has a little bit more of a pinker undertone to it, which is kind of more like the Portra 160, and then it has a very slight grain to keep it more in like what's current at the moment. A lot of like we've been around in the photography industry for a while now, and so watching the trends come and go and the cycles come and go has been very, very interesting. So it is very much a classic look, which is why we're calling it the modern classic. It's classic because it's timeless. It looks just as good 20 years ago as it does today. And over time we tweak it little by little to keep it current, and that's what we've done. It's the modern classic, but timeless photography is very important. I love some of the trends. Like I every time I see a new beautiful trend or something, I want to come in and change our entire style. But what has worked for us and our needs, the diverse group of clients that we have, and the diverse range of skin tones and cultures and places that we shoot, what has worked for us is a good, strong, just kind of clean edit.
And it speaks to our philosophy. Like whenever we pick up a camera, we are shooting for 50 years. We're photographing for all those people who will never meet us or never be in front of our camera. That's the record we want to leave behind. So we are looking for something clean that sort of strips back anything that will go out of fashion. I suppose it's a little bit of that old Hollywood edge, like just that classic timelessness, but a little hint to now. So
love it. Yeah, and it's beautiful. I had a lot of fun when I got to test it, and I think you guys I think you saw that I like teased it out on my Instagram, a bunch of photos with it. So yeah, I love one of my favorite things as an Imagen employee is being able to go into my archives and re-edit photos with other people's editing styles like that.
Good fun, yeah.
And that's such it's such an incredible platform that you're giving to people, and especially perhaps people who are new to photography, to try and find their style and work with different photographers. Like having these tools at their fingertips is pretty incredible. It's kind of a game changer. And we talked a lot about that because our whole career, we've always been about sharing. Living and working here in Japan can actually be very secretive. People often don't share very much. We've never been that.
It's cultural, though, because, the master sushi chefs, ancient traditions are secret. You've got to train under them. There's no, and it's the same with so much about Japan it's very, very tightly guarded secrets, until you train under somebody and then it's slowly revealed.
But we've always felt like in our career, we've had so many people just give their time generously to us, share with us, and we've always just been open books, perhaps to our detriment, I don't know. But for us, this just felt like the natural evolution of our style, even if it just set someone on their own journey, so.
And I think people who know us know that Dee and I don't ever jump online anywhere and just start talking about or anything. We we don't we don't promote any products at all that we are not using and love. And even some of the stuff that we're using, I won't get online and talk about because I often think we could get a bit better. But we are so blown away by this. I feel like people must think we've gone crazy. Like I've never come across in our whole time shooting anything that has helped our business as much as Imagen. So
it's amazing.
I love platforms that are what they say they are. Like we're always saying to our photographers too, you have to be who, what you say you are, so that you deliver that product, and you do. And even when you said before, Scott, about things coming back sooner, we've been noticing that like the last few jobs, we're like, I didn't even have time to go and get the coffee because it's already back.
Right.
It's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, I was doing a test earlier today, and literally by the time I finished uploading, the edits came back, and I was like, I wanted to go get like a new tea. Like I can't. I can't.
Wanted to snack.
Oh, it's so good. It's a good problem to have. So I got a few more questions. I see there's some questions that have come in from those watching. So let's see. I want to see if I can get through the rest of mine before we get into theirs. When you both first started your business, you formalized everything. Did you have any specific goals in mind for your business?
I think that's evolved actually over time. Now we just want a very successful business, client focused, that is sustaining, that we can have a good, comfortable life. Like being a photographer is really, really hard work. And we often say to new photographers, if you want a business, don't be a photographer. Like just go and focus. But actually having a business, like the business side of things is most of the business.
Right.
So goal-wise, I think we keep pushing the goalpost back all the time. It keeps evolving. We did have a kind of an endpoint around the Tokyo Olympics. We thought we'll just, sort of keep trucking till then. Then a pandemic happens. So now we just keep pushing this goal out. But I think it's just financial freedom, being happy in life, seeing the world, giving our best to our clients, doing something we love. It's not easy work. It's a lot of hard work. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
And I think the business grew without us having specific goals.
Right.
They were mini goals in
That's
between.
right. Yeah, that's right. And I think we were just client driven. I think it was
client driven and sustainability.
Correct.
Because we realized very early on, especially after the 2011 earthquake, we realized that because we lost then all of our weddings then too, because Japan was having a nuclear power meltdown. So everyone was, like it was, so we had another 18 months then where everything, but I don't think people rescheduled. They cancelled back then.
Yeah.
So it was very, very different. But we had this pivotal moment back then where we were just like, wow. We've got to work on, if everything could be taken away from you in an instant, how can we have this model? And so it was from 2011 onwards that we started to grow the business, make it
focus a lot more on the domestic market. But having done that, it then put us on a world stage with the Japanese side of weddings that had never really been seen to the rest of the world,
And grew the photography team, opened the planning side of things, and it just built and built. So it wasn't just us shooting a wedding anymore. It turned into a fully functioning wedding, professional company that we could pretty much take on anything and bring the vendors that we wanted to work with them, and all the Japan for destination weddings is a closed market. If anyone wanted to have a destination wedding here, there's nowhere to start for them.
It would just be a hotel venue. It's sort of not like you go into a place and get your own team together.
Yeah.
It's very, very different.
My wife and I got married in Mexico, and it was very much you have to use the resorts photography choices. They gave you choices, but you have to use their person. Like that's it.
That's it. That's your choice. Yeah. So I think we moved from being sort of photo focused to more being in the wedding industry. So that was sort of our goalpost. And I would really just encourage anyone starting out, if they're very serious, just to get all the ducks in a row on the business side first. We still struggle with that because we're all creatives, and we'd much rather be out working on a fun project than doing bookkeeping and all of that fun stuff. Yeah. But, the pandemic also gave us time to kind of streamline that side of the business. So,
but working on things and working out how you can make your business sustainable. If it's just you, what's going to happen if you're incapacitated for some time? Do you want it to just be you and or a small group, or are you going to grow the business into something a little bit bigger? All of these sort of things are something that I think people should think about, because at an early, a lot earlier on.
And just be open-minded and flexible to sort of navigate through that. If you have your own business, that's one of the great things you can do. You can sort of twist and move, and we keep doing that. And that's why, again, sort of coming back to Imagen, we are old, so we kind of need to but like pushing ourselves to try new things all the time and to sort of keep up. I think that's really important too. I mean, it can get to a point where you don't want any more new gear, and you just sort of got to focus on what you have. But I think being open to anything new is a great way to move forward as well, and longevity. We just wanted a business that was self-sustaining, could give us a lifestyle we wanted.
So you keep touching on things that I want to bring up and ask you.
Okay,
So you did it again. My next question to you is actually going to be, what is one thing you wish you knew about wedding photography before you got started? And you kind of briefly touched on it, talking about the business things. But I'm wondering if I ask you that specific question, if your answer is possibly different, or if that is your answer.
I wish I knew before we entered.
We often talk about this actually, because when we first started, I think we tended to be a lot freer creatively. Like we would actually shooting just, maybe we had no idea, I don't know, but we were just so free. So we often sort of see in that original work, don't look at the post-production. I don't know what we were doing. But it's fun to revisit, but we're actually a lot freer. So I would say like really embrace those beginning years, because sort of over time you do tend to streamline.
Well, I think we all love the creative side of wedding photography. We love to get in there with our couples. But I think that I wish I had have known how important the more boring side of wedding photography. I wish I had have realized just how important that is to our couples, because I feel like we would have focused a lot more on that more tedious side. I'm talking about all the hours worth of family formals, all the we love the getting ready moments, we love the moments, we love the dance shots, we love our couple shoot, but there's a lot of tedious moments in between that are very, very important to photograph. And Dee hates it when I talk about all the family formals, because I really don't enjoy doing them. I hate wrangling people in together. It's and just clicking and just come on, next group in. Like I hate it. But if there's one thing that we've learned, those family formals are probably more important to our couples than even.
They can be, yeah, because it's like maybe the only time in history that all those people will be there together.
Yes.
So there's certainly that aspect of it. Gosh, we could write volumes, I suppose, of all well, we like to call all our mistakes traditions.
Yeah.
So that's just the best way to put it. Like, we've made so many mistakes, but that's how you learn and evolve. There's not one right way.
I don't think that we've ever any big mistake that we've ever made. We've never really made again.
Right.
After every wedding, Dee and I would always do what we call the hot wash. Early on in our career, we would sit in the car at midnight after we'd done a wedding for 14, 15, 16 hours and just sit there and go, what the hell did we just do? But then, we would come back and after the cull and after the edit and the story comes together and you go, So there's a lot, and I realise that, Japan has taught us a lot. Japan has taught us a lot about service to people, that impeccable Japanese service. We love to give that.
It's not about us, it's about the clients and their people. I do think part of what I wish I had known back then, maybe this is some knowledge we can pass on, but especially as wedding photographers, we spend most of our life making memories for other people, for all documenting, for all kinds of reasons that might be self-serving to a point. But there did get a point in our business where we needed time for ourselves. So maybe the pandemic, in a lot of ways, was a silver lining, because we finally just had
slowed
time.
us down a little bit.
We had time. So,
I know we're running out of time, but just let me explain where we were right as the pandemic hit, because we were about to enter into our biggest year ever. Japan was about to have the Olympics. We were so fully booked. We were speaking at WPPI, and we were to fly back to Japan just for one night for a wedding back here. And then after that one night, we were to fly to Oman for a royal wedding, which was going to be a 2-week royal wedding. So while we were in WPPI, or just before WPPI, some of our mainland Chinese clients started cancelling their weddings, which were due in April and May. And they were saying, something's happening over here. So while we went to WPPI, Dee got more emails constantly over and over. And then Oman sent a message saying that anyone coming from Japan would have to be subjected to 2 weeks quarantine. We couldn't do that. We had the wedding. So anyway, long story short, we were over in Oman for this gigantic, amazing wedding when the whole world closed down. We got the wedding done, and we were shuttled on the first plane back. And all I could think of was, it's okay, we've got another 200 back-to-back weddings coming up. We've got one in this country, one in this country. We've got 10 million in Japan. Like, I was just in such a state of robot, factory-like, we've got all this coming up. And I kept saying to Dee, surely this will be only a month. This will be 2 months. It'll be 3 months. It'll put us behind 3 months. Surely the Olympics isn't going to be cancelled. Surely, it was just, and finally at one stage it got us to go, you know what, there's nothing we can do. We've just got to let it go. And that slowdown, that reset for us has been incredible. It's just been,
and my whole career, all I ever wanted to do was a royal wedding in the Middle East. So like, if that was my last wedding ever, I was fine. Amazing team, like amazing couple, beautiful family. So I was all good. But yes, so crazy few years, but I feel we've had so much happen leading up to that point that just to have time.
But this time like having this time has taught us that even though we're coming into this mad year where we've got all these back-to-back weddings to reschedule, we are also making sure that we're putting time here for ourselves, because that was something that leading up to the pandemic we didn't have. And I'm sure that we were going to head into some sort of severe burnout, which we've always said to our team, take care of yourselves, let us know. We've always said that we always take care of everybody else. I think it's very hard for all of us to really sit down and say, no, I'm going to take care of myself. And in my mind, taking care of myself was taking care of business.
Right. Exactly.
That's what I always equated that.
Exactly.
As long as business.
So, I'm my last question to you, I'm gonna hold off on, but you're sort of alluding to this, so I'm gonna stop you there before you answer yet another question before I ask it. And,
I told you.
So I'm gonna share a couple comments that that those watching have commented or asked, and then before we wrap up, I'll ask you my last question. So way earlier when we first started, and you were talking about when you first saw your edits come back from Imagen and how impressed you were. At that point, Christine commented about her reaction when she first started using Imagen, and so I wanted to share that earlier, but I just saved it for later. And then unfortunately, Restreamed can't show us who it is from LinkedIn. There's no way for them to do that. But there's a great question. I submitted an iPhone shot. Does Imagen work well with iPhones? I use different cameras: Nikon, Fuji, Mamiya, film. Nice. So here is the fun thing with the iPhones. So if you have a personal AI, first of all, if you're doing JPEG on an iPhone, because iPhones can do RAW, if you're doing JPEG on an iPhone and you do a personal AI profile that is JPEG based, then yes, it can edit a JPEG. We currently do not have any talent AI profiles that are based on JPEGs. We are working on it. We have 2 currently underway, and we're very excited about that. And if you are shooting with RAW mode on your iPhone, I have tested this thoroughly. It works perfectly. So if you're shooting with an iPhone on RAW, then yes, you can run it through any personal AI profile or talent AI profile, and it will work great. So that's some good news. Gus, I'm sorry, I'm not going to have time tonight to demo how to use the app, but you could either go to our YouTube channel to watch the video. You can or tune in next week. Next Wednesday, I will be doing a live stream, and I am happy to demo the app for you at that point in time. Okay. Those are the comments and questions that I wanted to get to. I shared Sam's comment already. So I have one more question for you both.
Okay.
And that is, okay, you might recall that we recently started doing this new series of short films called Focus on What You Love.
Yes.
That is our message. That's what we want. That's our brand promise, is that you can focus on what you love. So my question to you, and again, you start alluding to this because I know from learning more about both of you that when you have free time, you're spending it on your business. So I want to know that when you have Imagen handling your post-production, what do you love to do that is not business, that you do for yourselves?
Like I'll speak for me, but it has to be traveling. Like I love being out in the world, whether it's going off for a hot spring weekend or like an amazing meal somewhere where I have to be out in the world. I feel that energy. I like to come back and not be out there all the time, but for me, it's being on the road and traveling.
Yeah, I think for me too. Obviously, it's exactly the same. I look forward to being able to finish work instead of, these 18-hour, 20-hour days that we were doing in the studio to try and get, in the busy season, to try and get things out to clients in a timely manner. We'll be able to finish work at 5 or 6 and to be able to go out and see some friends, see some, they're so used to us. I'm so thankful our friends have never given up on us.
We are alive.
And now spending more time with family. Absolutely. I guess we took that for granted, and being apart from them for 2.5 years. In fact, for me, it was exactly 3 years that I was apart from my family. I will never take that ever for granted again. So believe me, we're going to spend so much time with them. They'll be so but I know that that's all the very, very generic answers, but to be perfectly honest, what this next 18 months we won't have a lot of free time, but what you have given us is the ability to finally get through this pandemic or the aftermath of the pandemic and be able to basically save our business. I mean, I'm not kidding. I don't know what we would have done if we didn't have this resource to get us through all these weddings. The pressure and the weight I feel from what's coming has been somewhat lifted by knowing that this resource is there, and we will be so grateful for that.
I'm so honored to be part of a team that has allowed you guys to take that weight off your shoulders for all that's about to come, because I know you're about to get a lot. So
you're also
come find us here. Futons, we've got come anytime.
Yeah. So thank you both for joining this morning or tonight, depending on where you are in the world. This afternoon, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, so if you have enjoyed this live stream with Tracey and Dee and would like to know about the next live stream, when the next one is, then know you are invited to be part of the bigger conversation. Join the Imagen community today by going to imagenai.com/community. By joining the community, you get access to exclusive conversations, live events, Q&A with the Imagen founders, and much more. We hope to see you there. Once more, it's right here on the screen, imagenai.com/community. Give it a try. See what Tracey and Dee are talking about, and so many others. Again, Tracey, Dee, thank you so much for taking the time.
More in the community too. We'll be more involved as much as we possibly can be. So anybody having any questions for us, please write it in the community group. That way we can answer it for a large number of people. And ask us anything at all. We're so excited to be able to help anyone through. Pay it forward. We just got to pay it forward.
Right. And if you do join the community and you try the modern classic, be sure to share some of the photos edited with Tracey and Dee's profile. Use the hashtag edits, and that way everybody else in the community sees the amazing photos that you share, the amazing edits that you share, and I will even bring it up in subsequent live streams so others can see your awesome work too.
And you can find us on Instagram. We're on Instagram daily at 37 frames. If you do use the modern classic, please tag us. We would love to share. Yeah. So thanks guys.
So thank you all, and have a good night, everybody, or a good day, everybody.
Thank you guys.